what would you tell your friend? You know, if you are advising your friend on something, you always have their best interest in mind, don't you? You always want to make sure that, you know, like whatever decision they're taking is something that will basically lead to the most possible success, the most possible happiness, and the best possible outcome, right? Hello guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited that you've tuned in today into my new video, because today I'm going to give you 7 tips on how you can make the big decisions in your business as a female online entrepreneur. If you've never seen my videos before, or if you have no idea who I am, then again, welcome. My name is SaBine. I am a growth mindset mentor for female entrepreneurs, and I basically help them with all things growth mindset in relation to business. So we're talking a lot about limiting beliefs, we're creating a crystal clear vision for the business, and we're also talking about how to create those sustainable success habits that will really help you to move yourself and also your business forward. If you like growth mindset and this kind of content, then please make sure that you also subscribe to my channel. I have a July goal. I really want to reach 50 subscribers, so it would mean the world to me if you would subscribe and help me to really get my YouTube channel to the next level. But without further ado, let's just really jump into today's video. I'm really excited about it. So again, let's talk about how you can make the big decisions as a female entrepreneur in your business. And before I start now, you know, with my first tip, I just want to talk very briefly about decisions and what decision making really is about. Because in a sense, what does a decision do? A decision initially triggers a new set of action steps. You know, those are action steps that will basically guide you into a whole new direction based on what you're deciding to do. And my little plot twist here, when it really comes to, you know, making the right decision, I don't think that there is such a thing as making the right decision. That decision is always based on the current situation, you know, your current knowledge about the situation, your current situation in general. Your resources also play a big role, and they basically depend on your situation right now, or also when it comes to resources, something that might happen in the near future. And that's why there is no such thing as making the right decision, because everything can change. Your knowledge can change, your situation can change, you know, there might be things happening unexpectedly, and that's why, again, there is no such thing as making the right decision. And that's why I always like to say you always have to make the best possible decision. You know, the best possible decision based on your current situation, based on your current knowledge about the situation, and also based on your current resources. All right, of course, now that doesn't mean that you should take any decisions lightly. I feel like it's all the more the reason now to really make use of those 7 tips that I'm going to give you in this video to really make the right decision, you know, to think every single scenario through, to really come up with the best possible scenario. And now with the final thing that I want to mention before we start now with the first tip is that you should really write every single thing down, because especially if it's like a big decision, you know, you're going to come up with all kinds of scenarios, you know, pros and cons, whys and hows, yes and no. So you want to make sure that as you are thinking about the whole decision making process, that you write everything down, because the more information you have, especially if you have many options when it comes to that decision making, you really want to make sure that for each of those options you have enough information to really make that best possible decision. But really now let's start with the first tip, and that is to manage your fear. You know, figure out if fear is one of the key reasons that keep you from making a decision. So first of all, I want you to remember again that nothing will be permanent. I'm sure no matter what decision you're going to take, whether it's a big or a small decision, even if it's like something that is going to tremendously change your direction of your business and even like parts of your life, nothing is irreversible. All right, so having just that in mind when it comes to making a decision, I feel like already eases the fear of this kind of finality of a decision, because like I just said, you can always reverse it. So one of my favorite exercises when it comes to fear that I want you to do right now or after the video is to really write down what is the worst case scenario, but not just like the worst case scenario, but like the most likely worst case scenario. Because, you know, sometimes if we fear of doing something, we always feel like doomsday is just around the corner, but really if you think about it, most of the time it's really not as bad. So what you really want to do here is that write down the worst case scenario and think about, is it really that bad? Because, you know, me, I'm a growth mindset mentor. What I'm always telling is that you can learn from every single situation. So even if your worst case scenario would take place, the worst thing that you can do is kind of back out and not continue on doing something. By the way, I didn't mention yet that for every single video I have a longer podcast episode. So if you want to hear me talk more about this topic, then hop on to my podcast. The name is right here. It's called The Growth Mindset Hackers. It's on all kinds of streams available, and I will also have it linked down in the description box, because I really want to keep my videos like short and digestible. And again, in the podcast episode, I'm elaborating like way more about every single thing that I'm going to mention here. Now, my second tip is to identify your goal, the decision that you're making, what is like the end goal of it. Because the thing here is, it's not just about having like this crystal clear goal or like this crystal clear vision that you have to make a decision on. So we're not talking goal setting here, we're really talking about making a decision. And when it comes to making a decision, again, like I said earlier, you will always have several options. And what's so important when making a decision is that you know enough all of those options to really make the best possible decision for you and your business. So again, write down what exactly are your options. Do you know enough about your options? And if you don't, then sit down and learn, do your research, because again, the more you know about something, the easier it will be for you to make a decision. Because obviously, the more you know, the easier it will be for you to decide on what it is that you actually want in that whole decision-making process. And as you are writing down those options, don't make them as, yes or no options. You want to make sure that they're as tangible as possible. So have open questions, what is it? What is like a good outcome of the decision? What is a bad outcome of the decision? And as you are writing those things down, you have to keep in mind my third tip, and that is to always keep the end in mind. Because like I said earlier, a decision basically triggers new action steps, and those action steps will lead you to a goal. And you want to make sure that as you are deciding on which option to take that will lead you to that goal, that you actually have the resources and the power in order to get there. So the first thing when it comes to resources that you want to think about is, again, do I know enough about the situation? If not, do your research. And knowledge is a part of your current situation. The other two parts are money and people. Because if you are making a decision on something, you want to reach something, you want to get things done, you want to produce something, or you want to build a product, whatever it is, one of those key aspects is obviously money. So do you have enough money as a resource to really get you there? And then when you combine money and your knowledge, is it something that you could outsource? Is there like a part in this whole decision-making process where other people could assist you with? And then obviously when it comes to money, do you have enough money to finance that? And that leads me also to the next kind of resource, and that is people. So if you need to outsource something, do you have the right people in mind that could really help you? Do you have like a team? Do you know somebody that you could hire? That's also part of the whole decision-making process if it's really like something bigger. Now for my fourth tip, and that is one of my favorite ones, and that is to decide with your values in mind. Because obviously, in a business, there are sometimes decisions that we have to make that, we might not be so happy with, or it's just basically stuff that needs to get decided upon. But, initially you have to remember that it's your business, it's your baby, and you started your business with your dreams, you started your business with your core values, and you basically built it around your uniqueness and also like a unique niche, a unique target group. And that's why it's so important that you always want to make sure that you keep your own values in mind, because your values, like the core values of your business, those are the things that, you see yourself, you see your business in. And obviously those key values are around, happiness, success, ambition, all these kind of super powerful and positive things. So you really want to make sure that whatever you're going to decide, those core values will definitely be met, and they are an essential part of your decision-making process. And it's your business. Like I said, some things just have to be decided upon, but really, what is it that you want to do? If it's like a big decision that will really lead your business into a new direction, what's the direction you want your business to go to? It's your thing. You definitely have the option, and you also have to say, whatever you want definitely goes. And like I just said, it will definitely make you happier, because if you make a decision around something that you don't actually agree with, then how can this make you happy in the future? Because like I said, a decision triggers new action steps, and if in those action steps there are things that you don't align with, that you don't agree with, then how can you expect this to be like a positive outcome for you and your business in the future? It won't be. And that, of course, can be a very rough situation. In order for you to avoid to be in that kind of situation, you want to make sure that you ask advice from 3 kinds of people. And really make sure that you get advice from at least one person in these categories. So before you start any sort of conversation, you want to make sure that this is a person that has your best interest in mind. It's a person that you can trust, it's a person that trusts you, and it's basically a person that wants to see you grow. So now thinking about your core values, the first category of people that you want to talk to is people people who know you, who know you for who you are, because they know you, they know you for your values, they know you for your character. So they will basically know if you are going to present to them, I don't know, like option A, B, and C, and there's like one option that would go totally like, in the opposite direction of who you are as a person and what your business is standing for. They can maybe give you, like this outer perspective and tell you like, I'm not so sure if this is really like the thing that would represent you and your business. That's the first category of people that you want to talk to. And the second category are the been there, done that kind of people, people who have been in that situation before, people who have already taken these kind of big decisions for their business and basically know what could be like the best possible outcome, the worst possible outcome. So they can basically give you like their best case scenarios and really help you to make the best possible decision for your business, also based on their key learnings, obviously. And here again, you want to make sure that you talk to people that you can trust and that also have your best interest in mind. Now, the third category of people that you really want to talk about, and it's important that you include them into your decision-making process, is people who have basically no idea what you're talking about. And why is that so important? Well, these people, I mean, if you think about it, because you are obviously so in this whole situation, you are so into like option A, option B, this scenario, that scenario, yes and no, and all of the things that we've just discussed. So you probably might not see like the very easy things. And if you talk to someone who has really no idea what you are talking about, then they will ask you different kinds of questions. They will basically maybe even move your focus onto another option or onto another aspect of your options that you haven't even considered. So that's why it's so important that you talk to people who have no idea what you are talking about. Because when you talk with those kind of people, they will help you kind of, take a step back and then think about it, like I just said many times, from a new perspective and kind of start questioning it differently. And that is always something that will help you, see new things, open whole areas that you haven't even thought about. And now let's move on to my next tip. The sixth tip is to really trust your own gut, because you know how it is most of the time when we are thinking about something, we already have this kind of gut feeling, like what could be right, what could be wrong, what would be the best decision to make initially. But again, here you have to remember that when it comes to your gut feeling, it is based on what you know about the situation, what your current situation is, and also what your resources are. So your gut feeling might change over time as you are thinking more about what you have to decide upon, because again, you will do your research, you will get to know more about it, you will have several options to choose from, and that's why your initial gut feeling is not like your final decision, obviously, but it's definitely something that you should trust. Because sometimes your gut feeling is also something that if it's not a new situation or if it's not a new decision that you are making, then this gut feeling can also be like an indicator for a previous situation and a previous experience that you've had with the whole situation. Especially if it was a bad one, then this gut feeling can also help you from making the same mistake again. So basically what you want to do here with your gut is, think about what would you tell your friend? If you are advising your friend on something, you always have their best interest in mind, don't you? You always want to make sure that, like whatever decision they're taking is something that will basically lead to the most possible success, the most possible happiness, and the best possible outcome, right? And you should think about that, when you make a decision, like be this best friend to yourself, be this advisor to yourself. Because also what your friends do is they also show you, why you can do it. They will highlight all of your skills. They will basically really lift you up, and you also have to be that person to cheer yourself on, to really highlight that you can do it. And even if you don't have the skill, that you can build the skill. Again, growth mindset. Whatever is not possible right now will be possible in the future. Whatever is uncomfortable right now will be comfortable in the future. You can learn anything and make anything happen with a growth mindset. And that's why, again, if you have to make a big decision, then advise yourself as you would advise a friend. And those are now 6 tips that I really recommend for you to do if you have to make big decisions. And now the 7th tip, because I said 7 easy steps to make a decision as a female entrepreneur, is basically taking place after you have made the decision. Because, after each decision is like a new decision coming up shortly, right? So what you want to make sure to kind of help you, ease into making decisions is to make sure that you are always analyzing your whole decision making process. So if you're taking a decision, like I said, it triggers action steps, and you have done a couple of action steps, then you want to make sure that you start to analyze if it has been the right decision. So how do you do that? You analyze basically, was it good or was it bad? So you want to write down, was the decision good? How does it make you feel? What are the action steps that you are taking that really help you to make this a good decision? because those are the things that you want to double on, you know? You want to make sure that you repeat those in the future to make also future decisions a success that will move yourself and your business forward. But then obviously you want to also reverse that and also focus on the things that go wrong. And what's really important here is to focus on the learning aspect, you know? Don't feel like don't really focus on the negative things as such, but really focus on what can you learn from them. Because if you fail at something or something goes wrong, then it basically shows you an area of improvement. You know what not to do, and you can then focus on thinking about what you can do better in the future. And those are pretty much all of my 7 tips that you really have to keep in mind if you want to make big decisions as a female entrepreneur in your business. But don't switch off the video just yet, because there's 2 more things that I really want to talk about. The first one is that you should never make a decision if you are not being yourself. Because again, I mentioned it now a couple of times, if you make a decision, it will trigger new action steps. And if you make the decision out of a bad place, out of guilt, for example, guilt would be like a really bad one, because what this triggers is steps that are not aligned with you and your core values, like we talked about earlier. So you want to make sure, again, have your values in mind, have positivity, have success in mind when you're making a decision. So if you don't feel, like doing it, if you're not feeling yourself, then definitely take a break. Like I said, meditate, do some sort of exercise, sleep on it if you have enough time. And like I said, make sure that it's in line with your values. I cannot mention this often enough, because otherwise you will just kind of trigger, guilt, negativity. You don't want that in your business. You don't want that in your future. So every step that you're going to take has to be in line with your values. Sorry for repeating that now over and over again, but like I said, it's really important. And let's just now do the last thing, and that is to have a backup plan. Because again, the thing here is that things might go wrong, life happens. And I always say that you cannot avoid failure. In fact, you should always plan and expect failure. Obviously, you shouldn't expect to fail 24/7, but of course you should make sure that you have a backup plan in mind. Because as you were writing down all of your scenarios, right, you also wrote down the most likely bad scenario. And while you were writing that down, don't just write it down and say like, okay, it might happen. Have a backup plan for it. So if it really happens, you know what to do. You're not going to be sitting there like what am I going to do now? No, you're going to have like a plan in mind. You're going to have action steps already done, set, that you can take to really get you out of that. And that is now finally all that I had to say for today's video. I really hope you liked it. Let me know down in the comment section what you thought of it. I would also really appreciate it if you would like this video. That would help me a ton, because I just started out in my YouTube journey. Also subscribe, because my goal of this month is to hit 50 subscribers. So really help me out here. That would again mean a lot to me. And like I said, if you want to get to know more about me, then follow me here on my Instagram account. I talk a lot about growth mindset. I take you on my life, because I'm usually a diginomad. I don't really have my own place. We're usually constantly traveling. That's why my background is changing almost for every single video. So if you want to get to know me, then again, make sure that you follow me on Instagram. Listen to the podcast episode if you want to hear me talk more about all of the things that I just discussed. I really hope you liked the video, and also give it a like if you love my little assistant here. He is the cutest little doggy, and I'll talk to you on Instagram and in my next video. Bye guys!